Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Jazzy K Pod. I'm Jazzy, Jazzy K, or Jazz, or whatever you want to call me, and there is nobody here with me today, surprisingly and unfortunately. Um, Basically, what happened was I planned to have a guest on back when I was home, and they ended up not being able to um, make it to the date that we were planning on shooting and the time that we planned on shooting. And then I was trying to rush to find somebody else to come on the podcast. And I basically just decided that I was going to do it alone for this episode. So we're going to see how this goes. I got some questions from some friends and fans. And then we're going to do another segment. Um, and we're just going to see how this turns out, how this goes. Um, it's just me, so hopefully, I don't get too annoying, and hopefully, you guys enjoy listening to me talk about random shit, because that's what this is about to be. So, enjoy thoroughly. Hope you enjoy. Um, a couple things. So, last night, me and Savannah, which was the guest on my last podcast episode, if you haven't already watched that, you should go watch it. Um, but her and I went to Ice Cube, which if you don't know who Ice Cube is, look it up or get with the program. Um, but yeah, no, it was a really, really good concert. A really good time. We ended up not being able to. We like almost didn't get a ride home. We were literally stranded because well, we took an Uber there and then we didn't know. We didn't really plan on how we were going to get home. And neither of us realized that Ubers cost like a hundred and some dollars. They were charging like a hundred and some dollars to get from the center to my house, like the concert place to my house. And I neither of us are willing to pay a hundred and some dollars for an Uber, and none of the taxi places were picking up, and we weren't going to sit on the phone with a cab place for an hour trying to get a cab, and my phone had died. So, and I live in the city, and my and Savannah doesn't. So, ideally, her phone should have died if either of ours was going to, because I have more people here that I could have contacted to get a ride instead of her. But um yeah, that anyways, we ended up getting a ride from a friend, Alita, who has also been on the pod. Um and her dad. So shout out to them because we're very, very thankful because we were sitting there stranded, unaware of what we were going to do with ourselves. And it was very, very cold outside last night. So yeah. And our dumbasses didn't wear jackets. So yeah, we didn't want to stand outside in the freezing cold and everybody was leaving. So yeah. Anyways, so we're going to jump right into the questions. There's six of them. Some of them are going to be short, long, controversial even. Um, but yeah, let's see. And if you guys have any other opinions on some of these, because some of them are would you rather questions, please comment down below and tell me which one you would rather, because I'm curious. Okay, first question. Would you rather fight a grizzly bear or 106th graders? Your only weapon being straight willpower. You know, this is a hard question because I think I would have to go with 106th graders. Like I'd probably lose, but a grizzly bear could do way more damage than 106th graders probably could. Like, could both of them kill me, and would I lose with both of them? Probably. Like, am I gonna sit here and be cocky and be like, "Oh, I could take on 100 sixth graders"? No. No, I definitely couldn't. If they're all coming at just me, oh, I'm getting bashed to the ground. But I think that, you know, I would definitely rather the 100 sixth graders because grizzly bears, first of all, are way bigger than I am and also have claws. And I mean, sixth graders are ruthless. Like, if they had it out to literally hurt me, they definitely could and definitely would. But I'm going to say 100 sixth graders because I'd rather have bruises and broken bones from 100 sixth graders than um, scars all over my body or dead because of a grizzly bear. The only thing with a grizzly bear is like the only reason why I would ever pick a grizzly bear if I had to pick something is because I feel like I could like outsmart it. But if we were out in like the forest, no, like I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. Um, but yeah, I would definitely pick 100 sixth graders. Let's move on to the second question, which men watching my podcast, it's not really something that you're going to want to be interested in, but I'm going to talk about it anyway, which is my first period story. It's happening. It's happening. It's nothing like terrible or embarrassing. It's kind of boring. Um, but if anybody doesn't want to listen to this story, they can just literally skip ahead. It doesn't matter to me. But literally, all that happened was, well, first of all, everybody in my class, like all the girls in my class had, because like this was still when I like lived in the small town that I lived in, like everybody had already gotten their periods by this point. Like everyone. I was like the only one who hadn't gotten mine, and which I didn't really care about. Like I was like, well, if like I was like I'd rather not have it than have it, but I was always like super concerned why I wasn't getting it or when I was going to get it. Um and literally all that happened was I think I was like 14 or 15. Like it was pretty I was it was quite a few years like after some like all the other girls got it. I woke up, went to the washroom, there was blood, and I was like, "Oh, there it is." And then I called my mom and I was like literally was just like, "What do I do? Like what do I use? Like how do I do this?" blah 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 because she was at work and for some reason I was at home. I'm like I don't know if I stayed home from school that day or what happened, but I remember like waking up later in the day, my mom was at work and I was like, "Hey, by the way, this happened. Like what do I do about it?" And she just like put me through it. But like I know some girls that have horror stories about when they first got their period, and I would not want to go through that at all. Like when they got it at school and they didn't know they had it and getting it out in public, but it is such a hassle. Like literally girls' biggest fear. Girls' biggest fear. It's one of my biggest fears. I know it's some of my friends' biggest fears. Not biggest fear, but like it's a fear that like when they're on their period, like they bleed through, blah 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 blah. It is a scare. It really is. Cause it's just like an embarrassing moment. Like I nothing is worse than like somebody pointing it out or being like you have like blood, blah 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 blah, and then it's just like a hassle because then you're like, well, what do I do about it? Like if you're in the middle of the day and you're like not at home and you like bleed through, like there's not a whole lot you can do about it if you're like in the middle of class or at work and stuff like that. Like, what are you gonna do about it? So it's definitely a pain in the ass for sure. Um, I think that some people like go through their like some girls go through their period worse than others. Um, but I think that some girls definitely like dramatize it as well. Um, because yeah, I mean, it's definitely not something that's fun or anything like that, but it is a part of life, so complaining about it and stuff really isn't not needed. Like it just kind of is what it is. And if you're aware that you have mood swings and you have all of these symptoms when you do get your period, like you don't have to make it a huge deal. Like you know you have it. You can warn the people around you about it if you get like super grumpy and stuff like that. But you don't have to make it this like huge deal that it's your time of the month. Like it is what it is. It's a part of every single girl's life. Like it's fine. Moving right along. Um, Similar would you rather question. Um, would you rather fight a grizzly bear 1K out in a forest or a shark that can only be as big as you, but you're only zero point 0.4 kilometers out in the ocean? I mean, my thing is that if I'm in the ocean, um, the shark kind of has a lot of leverage over me because a shark can grab me, pull me down into the ocean, and then I there's no way of me getting oxygen. So then, regardless if he kills me because he's eating me or um or it has me down in the ocean, like would probably die either way, and whatever. Because the thing is if a shark attacks you, obviously there's some type of reason why a shark is attacking you. Like you're either bothering their territory and stuff like that. Um, like P.S. I also have like a very bad obsession with sharks, but my biggest fear is literally the ocean. I literally can't go in the ocean. FYI, fun fact about me. But yeah, sharks like will only attack a human if there's a direct threat to them or they're bothered or you bother them in some type of way. So, and they usually don't give up the fight either. Um, I mean, if the shark's only as big as me, like I could probably fight it off and then just like swim as fast as I can. But if the shark's not stopping, like if the shark is continually trying to get me until I get to the surface or into water shallow enough that they can't get to, like I'll probably be dead by that point or not be able to make it because there's only like so long that you can fight off a shark in the ocean. And again, that like disadvantage of like they can move faster in water, they can breathe underwater and stuff like that. So it's definitely like a disadvantage to me all the way around. Whereas like a grizzly bear, they're faster, they're faster, and it's bigger, but I'm 1 kilometer. I mean, a kilometer is like a ways. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna say that. But again, similarly to like the first would you rather question, a grizzly bear is way bigger than me, has claws, and like I can't just like climb a tree. Like bears can climb trees too. Can they not? I'm pretty sure they can. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure bears can climb trees. Regardless if they can or not, like that bear's probably getting me. Like I'm probably not making it out. And once I do make it out, like the bear can still attack me outside of the forest. Like bears live in trees, but it's not like they can't come out. Like he can still kill me. Like what am I gonna do? Whereas a shark, like I'm only zero point 0.4 kilometers out, which isn't that far. Like zero point 0.4 kilometers. And as soon as I get to a shallow enough surface, like that shark can't touch me anymore. So I feel as though I'm gonna go with the shark because it seems like that would be easier. Like I have a higher chance of surviving that almost than a grizzly bear because a grizzly bear can still track me down regardless if I'm in a forest or not. So I'm gonna pick the shark. I just really don't want to fight a fucking grizzly bear. Okay, the fourth. question was just embarrassing moments. I've done I did an like embarrassing moment um last episode with Savannah, and I'm pretty sure I feel like I've done another embarrassing moments question with somebody else, but I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was the first episode with McKenna, I'm not sure. Um I feel like I don't have a lot of embarrassing moments because I don't get embarrassed too often. Like if something happens, I'm just like, okay. Um I feel like always an embarrassing like moment, like a embarrassing moment in general for me, which it shouldn't be embarrassing, but it kind of is like when you're doing something that you think is okay, like out in public, like say for example, you're in an area in like a building. Um Hello. Bessie is saying hi. Hi. We're gonna ignore him. But like when you're in an area in a building that you're not you think is okay to be in, like say it's like a stairwell or like an area that's like employees only, but you didn't know that, so you're in that area, or even in a store, when they have like the employees only sections, or like you're confused, like the counter's like in the middle of the store, so you never know if that's like the cashier or if that's where the clothes, like that's not a place you're supposed to be, or if you're allowed, and then somebody comes up to you and they're like, ma'am, sir, like you can't be here. It's just like a little like awkward, embarrassing moment, and then you're like, oh, that's so embarrassing, blah 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 blah. Like it's just a tad embarrassing. It's not like a huge deal. I just find that those little like moments are super embarrassing. um Another embarrassing moment, like another like embarrassing moments I feel like just in general is like when you accidentally like walk in on someone like changing in a room or something like that, or like walking in on someone going to the bathroom. So embarrassing. Bessie. Hi, buddy. Say hello to Bessie. Okay, no, you need to go. You need to go, honey. Sorry. Oh, oh, Bessie. Hey. Okay, stop it. I feel like yeah, like an embarrassing. It's like when you walk in on someone going to the bathroom. That's so embarrassing. And then like if it's like in public, if it's in public, you're sitting there like waiting to go into the washroom, and they're just like they come out and you're like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Like that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing and awkward. But I feel like everything that's embarrassing is also awkward. Like it's really easy to make an embarrassing moment awkward. So, yeah. That's that's just that. Um but if you guys have embarrassing moments, you guys should put them in the comments. Um or like message me on Instagram or something like that. My social media platforms are all usually in my bio, like in the description. Sorry, not bio, my description. The description in my on my videos. Sorry, English is not my first language today. And you can just like message me on Instagram or something like that. Um, and let me know your guys' embarrassing moments, because maybe I'll do like a fan um embarrassing moment segment one of these episodes if I get enough entries to do it. So yeah. Okay, next question. If you could pick any hairstyle slash color to have, what would it be? Okay, so little like story time about my hair journey. I've always had like dirty blonde hair. Like my hair right now is like it has like a red tint in it, and it's like more of a reddy brown, and my hair is usually like dirty blonde, honey brown kind of hair. Um, and that's how it was my whole life. Like I have like natural blonde highlights and stuff. Bessie. Sorry. Um, okay, what was I saying? Oh yeah. So my hairstyle journey, my hair is like a reddish color right now. It's not red, but it's like has like red undertones in the brown that I like got it dyed to, whatever. So basically, when I was young, my hair was always like my natural hair color, which was like a honey brown and then had like natural blonde highlights in it. Um, and when I got to like a certain age, which was like pretty young, I like started wanting to like dye my hair, like funky colors though. Like I never wanted to dye them like generic like black, brown, like none of the like generic hair colors like you pop out with. Like I wanted the funky like red, red, orange, green, all those colors. Um and in cities there's like hair colleges and you can go there and get your hair done and it's cheaper than what you would like go to like to like an actual professional um hair place, like hair salon. And so my auntie, I will go to my auntie's every summer. Um and my mom and my auntie would either dye my hair um or or take me to that college and a student would dye my hair. And I never got like my whole head dyed a color ever. Like I never like I one year I did like half like the bottom half of my hair was ombre pink and then I've done like the bottom half of my hair ombre teal purple and pink. I've done orange and red highlights. I've done all kinds of things. Um and then I can't remember when I exactly stopped doing it, but eventually there just became a time where I just stopped doing it. Um, and I always did it like right before the next school year started. So for picture day, my hair would be that color. And my hair was always like long, like it was always past the chest, like kind of like mid stomach area. And um, it was like wavy throughout my childhood. And then when I was about, I don't know what year it was, 2019. Yeah, like just going into 2019, I think. I, or just going into 2020, I think. I can't remember. I think it was 2019 into 2020. I don't think that it was 2018. Anyways, moving right along. I, oh, and then before that, I started getting highlights in my hair. Like I started getting blonde highlights in my hair before this certain situation happened. And then me and my family and I were going down to California for an acting program for me in 2019 around New Year's, and I was like, okay, well before I go, I'm gonna get my hair done and stuff because I'm gonna have to get headshots and I'm performing in front of a bunch of agencies, so I want my hair to look good. So I went to the salon and got highlights in my hair, and then I got it like a good amount chopped off because like my hair was always dead because I never got it cut and I wanted to get it professionally done because my mom used to cut my hair. Mom, if you're watching this, so sorry. But when I was a kid, it was worked out fine, and then as I got older, I just preferred. She one time like cut it uneven, and then it grew back super uneven, and then that's when I was like, okay, I need to go to the salon. I need to get this straightened out, whatever. Went to the salon, got highlights in my hair, and then I was like, okay, like I want this amount of chopped off, but I don't do too short. Anyways, long to make a long story short, she chopped it way too short than I preferred, which isn't really her fault. But then the problem was is that it was short, like it was about here, I'd say, or maybe a little higher. But then the bigger problem was is because I'd never really had my hair that short before, my hair just instantly went curly, and my mom's hair is curly, so my hair like instantly went curly from the way she cut it. And then my hair was like to my shoulders. And then I also didn't know how to deal with curls. So then so then I would like brush my hair dry, which like any curly hair girl knows that that's not you don't do that because then your hair just poofs up. So I literally looked like I had an afro. Anyways, if you guys were to see my first headshots, traumatizing. Literally traumatizing. Don't know why I ever looked like that in my entire life. My hair was not okay. Didn't like it. terrible, whatever. Anyways, after that, I grew my hair out, figured out how to deal with curls, and then just kept doing like blonde highlights in my hair. I never really did any funky colors. Oh no, actually, that's a lie. I dyed my hair brown 1 year before that happened. Dark brown. Hated it. Like, loved it at the time. Now that I look back, hated it then. Anyways, I'm like moving, like going to different time periods here. So just try and follow along. Anyways, that's all kind of besides the point. Then, like 2 years ago, which like seems crazy, I did like the underneath of my hair black and then kept my natural hair and blonde highlights at the top. Absolutely loved my hair when I did that. Like, loved my hair. I felt like the baddest biddy ever known to mankind. Loved that era of my hair. Um, because it was like the best of both worlds. I loved the black and I loved my natural hair and it always looked so cool when I would like put it up in a ponytail or a bun or in like braids. It always just looked so cool. And I really miss that era of my hair and I really want it back. Um Also during COVID, I went through whatever like everybody else's phase that like everybody else went through, especially on TikTok where everybody just dyed their hair. But it was like temporary dye and lasted like 2 days. So that doesn't count in my opinion. And then not this like last September, but the September before that, like right like beginning of September, right before school started, I dyed my whole head black, which was like crazy. But I loved the black in my hair so much from the underneath of my hair black that I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go full black. It'll probably look really good. Like I have bright blue eyes, so I was like, this is gonna be amazing. Loved it. Oh, loved it. Like I look back at pictures now of me with my black hair and I'm like, I miss my black hair so much. So I don't really know what to do. But then in October of this past year, I decided that I was like, I should probably go back to my natural hair color for a while, let it grow out, not dye my hair so much, whatever. So then I went to a salon. Um, they like dye stripped my hair to try and get all the black out, and then which only does so much when your hair is black and your natural hair is honey brown, dirty blonde. And then he tried to like match my root color with like hair dye. Anyways, he got the tones wrong. So my hair right now is like an undertone of red and then it has blonde highlights in it. But my if you look like really close at my hair, you can see my roots growing out. So I think for now I'm just gonna keep putting highlights in my hair and then just like keep letting it grow out. Um, because you can't really tell all that much, but I guess if at some point in time you can start to tell, I'll just like try and dye it like a different color, I guess. But I really just like want my natural hair color back for a bit and then maybe I'll dye it back to black eventually, but that's not gonna happen for a while. So So yeah, if I had to pick a color, honestly, I'd on me would be black. I also like love the look of black hair. I think that it just accentuates so much. Like when you have black hair or very very dark brown hair, it just like accentuates so much. I feel like blonde looks good, but I like the like tone of somebody that like dark hair gives them. You know what I mean? And a hairstyle that I would have to pick is probably I like the slick back bun look. Like that's my like the slick back and then the braid right now is like look that I love right now. Um, but I that is definitely subject to change because it always changes. Okay, last question before we move on to the next segment is what's your opinion on sporks? Um, You know, I have very mixed feelings about sporks because I've used a spork probably once in my whole life. Um, I don't have anything against sporks. I just feel like Sporks are like the only like concept I don't like about sporks is like the knife is never sharp enough on the side of the like spork, because like lots of them come with like the little like divots on the fork side to like cut. They're never sharp enough to actually cut anything unless you have like an extremely soft food. Um and the only like but other than that, I think they're a great invention. I think that the only thing that's like I don't really like is the fact that like if you're using your spoon to eat something and then you need to use your fork, you flip it around and you're like holding the middle of this contraption, and then you're trying to eat with your fork, and like the spoon part of it is bound to like get on your hands and stuff, so then it's just making more of a mess than if you were to just have a fork and a spoon. Like I understand that it's like less dishes, blah 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 blah, but I just think that I like the idea of like a fork and a spoon better, especially because like sporks are made out of plastic and I just like metal cutlery better. um but I usually just like eat at home with my metal cutlery now. Like when I used to pack lunches as a kid, my mom used to just like pack me metal cutlery. So that's just what I'm used to. So yeah, let me know your opinion down below though, because I'm always curious. Okay, for the next segment, I looked up funny dating stories and I basically just like scrolled through, didn't look at the story and just screenshotted them, and we're gonna like basically react blind together because I was like, well, it's gonna ruin it if I like pick the stories. And there's nobody else with me to react to them like I usually do. So I was like, I'm gonna react to them um blind, I guess. So let's do this. I'm gonna lay this way. I feel like it's like more like up close and personal. So let's do this. Okay. This just popped into my head about an hour ago and I haven't stopped laughing since. I was dating a guy and I told him to look at some pictures on my phone of something, maybe a house or my dog. Who knows? Anyways, he's scrolling through the pictures and suddenly throws my phone on the couch and says, oh my god, I'm so sorry. I went too far. I saw a picture of your boob. I barely looked. We hadn't gotten to the clothing optional part of the relationship, and I looked at him confused because I don't have pictures like that on my phone. So I pick up my phone to see what he's talking about. Apparently, he saw a picture of a wound on my middle toe from a medical procedure I had had. At a passing glance, it vaguely resembled a boob and a nipple. He really must have been trying to be a gentleman and not looked. I told him what it was, and he was so embarrassed because I was laughing hysterically. Next time I saw him, I had to tell him that I told my friends because they all thought it was too hilarious too. He was silently embarrassed, but I still couldn't help but laugh. Okay, my thing is my thing is like I understand wanting to be a gentleman and stuff, but in my opinion, like if you're in a relationship and they accidentally end up coming across a picture like that, or what they assume is that, and you guys like haven't obviously seen each other unclothed, like it shouldn't be that big of a deal to him if he's in a relationship and like eventually you like intend to get to that point. Like I feel like most men would be more excited about it and be like, "Oh, what's this?" blah 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 blah. But I mean, good on him for being like, "I'm so sorry." Like that's a boundary we haven't got to yet. But I don't know. That's actually funny. A wound on your middle toe? Middle toe? How would you even that's how would you even mistake that? Maybe man's not seen a lot of boob before. Okay, next one. So a few years ago, I was going out on a ton of dates from old, which when I read the first line of this one and I have no idea what old is. I'm assuming it's some type of dating site. Um, God knows though. Anyway, I set up a dinner date with a guy. I got there first and decided to just go ahead and get a table. A couple minutes after being seated, I look up and I see my date coming toward me. I get up and say hello and give him a big hug. I sit down and ask him how his weekend is going. He just stands there and says good with a smile on his face and then asks me how I am doing. I answer, but I am like, why isn't this guy sitting down? We chit chat about something else for a minute and then I suddenly realize this guy is not sitting down because he is the waiter. Ha ha ha. I could tell quickly that the waiter was trying to place me. He thought that we must know each other. Ha ha. Anyway, I was so embarrassed and just decided to play along. My date arrived. He got a hug too. At the end of the dinner, the waiter dropped off the check and was like, "It was so good to see you again." Oh man, that is really embarrassing. Like, after it happened, I would probably laugh hysterically, but in the moment, I would panic. Like, I'd be like, you know what? I got a ditch. I got a ditch. I could not be confronted with that. Hell no. Hell no. That's the equivalent of like one of your friends being the waiter on your date because it just makes things so much awkward when you know that someone's like watching you and knows who you are and like whatever. Like my last boyfriend, um, because we lived in like a smaller city, it was like it wasn't unknown to like it wasn't unknown for somebody to be working at the restaurant you go to when you go on a date. And the place we went to, there were so many people there that we knew, and it was just really awkward. I don't like that. I like now that I live in like a little bit of a bigger city and like nobody really knows who I am. So like the odds of me going to a restaurant and someone sitting like being my waiter that I know is like very, very, very odd and probably is never gonna happen. Um, but that's embarrassing for her that she like this was her other date that she went on, and yeah, that's so embarrassing, and I could not sit through that entire date. Definitely not. If I would have realized he was a waiter, I would have literally been like, you know what? I just realized like my day canceled on me. Gotta go, and I would have walked out, and I would have just like texted them and been like, you know what? I feel super unwell. I'm gonna stay home tonight, and we would have went for dinner somewhere else. Unless you live in a small town where like there's only one place to eat. But if you're going on a bunch of old date, like if you're going on a ton of dates, then like you wouldn't assume. Anyways, moving on. Yeah. Just happened on Wednesday, which this was posted 6 years ago, so Um, had a pretty good first date with a woman at a local coffee shop, ordered a drink at the beginning, got to talking, and never ordered anything else. When the drinks came, we were already deep into conversation, and 2 hours later, I left. I got to my car and was headed to another appointment that would require cash, so I did a quick cash level check and realized I had the same amount of money I had earlier in the day. My brain did some quick calculations shit and said, "You didn't pay for your drink, did you? Shit." I called my date from there and said, "Hey, are you still at the shop?" She was. I said, "I'm about to probably make this your most memorable first date. I'll be back. You'll be seeing me in about 30 seconds. I'm not sure I paid for our drink, so I walked in and even the barista was like, yeah, you guys were having such a good time, even I forgot. So I paid and we walked out together this time and said goodbye on the street corner. By my assertion, it was one part embarrassing, two parts cute. I mean, that is kind of cute. If I ever got a call from a guy, because at that point I would just pay, I think, as like a girl, because I don't really care who pays on the first date. Like I do, but that's like subject to who like asked who to go on the date. Like if I asked you the guy to go on a date, then I'm paying for it. Like that just is like logically what makes sense. Um, but no, that is kind of cute. I feel like it shouldn't be like an embarrassing moment just because I mean stuff slips your mind, whatever. You were having such a good time, blah 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 blah. Like it doesn't really matter. Um, Had a first date with a lady and she was into volunteering at dog rescue places. We set up our first date for a quick drink on a Sunday evening. She showed up and we started chatting and having a normal conversation. She eventually pulled out her phone and showed me the Facebook page for the dog rescue center and what she had posted that day. I kind of skimmed the Facebook post and noticed her full first and last name. Anyways, the date turned into a dud and I went home. I looked her up on Facebook when I got home and she had posted something that said, well, I was fully willing to have sex with a guy tonight, but he didn't offer to contribute anything to my dog shelter, so I kicked him to the curb. Then it was followed up with all of her dog parent friends with comments like, you go, girl, and you don't want no cheap ass like that, and that guy's a loser. Why wouldn't he give a 20? I read all the comments and likes and felt embarrassed for humankind. I really wanted to comment on her Facebook page that this story was pretty much a fake news story, and the reason the date sucked is because she said something about the city I lived in and commented, "You're so white," in a negative tone. She never asked me to contribute to her dog shelter, and the fact that she commented negatively about me being white was just embarrassing. Probably one of the worst dates I've been on. Yeah, I mean, first of all, that's racist. Um, and just like super offensive and rude. Um, yeah, just rude. Um, and yeah, I mean, at least like you found out what she was like right away, and not and not like after a few dates or after getting into a relationship, and then something like this happens and whatever. Like at least you found out right away, and even though like it's uncalled for and she shouldn't have like talked to you talked to this guy the way she did, like at least he found out. um Funny story, a guy I dated a month ago for 5 whole days before I ended it because he wouldn't stop with the love bombing tactics just messaged me on Facebook, including a pic he had taken of us together. According to his profile and consistent tagged pics, he's been engaged to the mother of his child for the last 3 years. Wonder whose house and bed it was that I slept in. Again, I've said this in so many episodes of with these like kinds of segments. I couldn't be confronted with that. I cannot be confronted with that. I cannot be dating a guy, and I mean like obviously it's a very very short lasted relationship for reasons. But if he's love bombing her and like regardless, like he's in a relationship with her, he's engaged to like the mother of 3 kids. Um oh, mother of his one kid, and like why? Like, why? Like, you're engaged. Like, what are you doing? I do not understand people like this. You are engaged. If you are interested in anybody else while you are engaged, you have to end it. I understand that you have a kid and stuff, but you have to end it, or you have to work it out with your fiance and be like, listen, like, I'm thinking about other people. Like, we need to figure out what's going on here. Like, I know it's a hard conversation to have, but it's a conversation that needs to be had. Like, so sorry. Okay, I think I have uno more. Yeah. Okay, an old date, which again, I don't know what old is. I'm gonna look it up. An old date arrived way too late for our planned date at the zoo for the Christmas zoo lights exhibit. I think he was testing my boundaries, and for some ridiculous reason, I waited. Anyways, he shows up finally, and I'm steaming mad. He tried to lighten the mood with jokes, but I wasn't having it. I was blinded by my anger and didn't pay attention. I see a train ride, and I'm thinking that it goes through the zoo, and we could see more lights, so I tell him I want to ride the train. He keeps repeating, "You want to ride the train?" This angers me even more. Why are you questioning me? Yes, I want to ride the freaking train. He pays for our tickets. We get in. He keeps shaking his head and saying, "If you want to ride the train, we'll ride the train," but with no facial expression. Guys, turns out in my blind anger, I didn't realize this was a kiddie train for 3-year-olds. It was a little tractor pulling compartments on wheels, and it runs a little figure eight for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. I look over at all the parents watching their kids and us two adults on this ride, and I said, "Oh my god, bah ha 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 ha." I started laughing so hard I was crying with tears and everything. My date just stared at me. Again, couldn't be confronted with that. First of all, I understand that your date arrived way too late, and I understand that that's very frustrating. Um, but everybody has their reasons and whatever, and like if you were that mad, you probably should have just left. Um, like what was the point of him showing up and then you acting all pissy anyway? Because then you're just not having a good day in general. Like you should have just left. Which I think she realized. But um, yeah, if you wouldn't have been so mad or you would have just dealt with it and just left, that would have never happened. But I mean, it did happen, and that's actually hilarious. I wouldn't be able to recover from that. I'm assuming that they never made it through to the relationship. Um, But no, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Anyways, this might be a boring episode to some of you. I hope you guys listen. Um, and again, on the would you rather questions, make sure you comment down below. Tell me which one you guys would rather do, um, and stuff like that, or share some of your embarrassing moments with me, and I'll make it a segment on the next episode, maybe, or future episodes. Um, yeah, I will have a guest on for next week. Just like circumstantial again, didn't work out, so it's just me. But of course, I'm gonna post for you guys because I stay dedicated to my job. Um, and yeah, so hope you guys enjoyed this episode, the fifth episode of Jazzy K Pod. We're moving flying through these episodes. It should be. I'm recording this Tuesday, so it should be up tomorrow. Yeah. So hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. It's also obviously you can listen on Spotify as well. Make sure you go subscribe to the Spotify version as well if you haven't. Um, and I get like 200 and some views per episode, and I have 40 something subscribers. So please, if you're watching my episodes, please subscribe. Um, that would mean the world to me. I'm eventually going to start posting other content as well, like challenges and stuff like that, because I think that that would be super good, so that I'm posting more than once a week and you guys are getting some different content um other than just podcasts. Also, I made a TikTok page for Jazzy K Pod. Haven't posted anything yet as I have to cut the clips and do all that editing stuff and whatever, which I do all by myself. Plus, I'm a full time student, blah, 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 so far, so on. You don't want to hear all that shit. So, yeah, go follow the Jazzy K Pod TikTok page. And yeah, love you guys so much. Thanks for tuning in. This will be up tomorrow. And yeah, peace the fuck out.